Hi students, let's look at this question here, which is on complex numbers taken from the year 2015 RI, paper 1 question 6 part B. This is pretty interesting because we are told to actually express this, show the left hand side equals the right hand side. Of course, I think we would start from the left because this is a more complicated one. Let's try and see how we can do this. Now, I would prefer to express things in terms of exponential form and after which just slowly move forward. You could just use the trigo form, but I think it's very confusing, so we're just going to use exponential form then. Now, the first thing is I realized that this is the I is attached to the cosine. I is attached to cosine. I think this is a very common mistake. I can see that a lot of students would have done some form of mistakes here because we know that the exponential form or Euler equation is actually ei theta equals to cosine theta plus I sine theta. Alright, so this is the expression here. So the I is attached to the sine. So what would we do if we were to we need to attach I to it? Alright, so I'm going to just do this left hand side is equals to 1 plus sine 3 over 8 pi plus I cosine 3 over 8 pi over 1 plus sine 3 over 8 pi minus I cosine 3 over 8 pi. So I think the sensible thing to do here is just to multiply the top and bottom with I, okay? Because we just want to attach the I to the sine. Alright, so that we can use the exponential form formula there. Then in this case here, what we'll get eventually is this will just be I, this is I plus I sine 3 over 8 pi minus I squared is minus, right, cosine 3 over 8 pi. So I'm going to skip some steps there. And this would just be I plus I sine 3 over 8 pi plus cosine 3 over 8 pi. Okay, great. Now a few things. We know that I is actually ei pi over 2. Okay, so just make sure this you have to know already at this juncture. If you're not sure, please revise. Basically imaginary and real part, this is your I here, so the argument is pi over 2, so the length is 1, so it's ei pi over 2. Okay, the next part is you realize that what happens here is this negative is attached to this you need it to be positive, right? These are both positive here. The cosine is positive, so what do we do? Okay, we have to use this expression here. So basically what I'm saying is this sign here have to be the same as the front here. Okay, so because it's different, what can we do? We can use this formula, cosine theta is equal to cosine negative theta, and sine theta, negative sine theta is equal to sine negative theta. Okay, so either we change this to positive or we change this to change this both angle to negative and this negative. Because I think what I'll do is I'll just slowly write it out. I know I would be ei pi over 2. Okay, so I'm going to just tweak this. I know that this will just be negative I sine. If I will just change this to negative, this will be negative 3 over 8 pi. Okay, and because this case here, the argument is negative, I could change this to negative, so it's cosine negative 3 over 8 pi. Okay, so because cosine pi, cosine theta is equals to negative cosine negative theta. Alright, yeah, and this I here will be ei pi over 2, and that will be plus ei 3 over 8 pi. Okay, so this over here is this. Alright, and this over here, I is this. Okay, so once done, what we can do here is I'm going to just extract the negative out. This is ei pi over 2 negative I, maybe I'll just put this as cosine plus I sine. Okay, and after which this case here be E plus EI 3 over 8 pi. This would then be just EI pi over 2 minus EI negative 3 over 8 pi over EI pi over 2 plus EI 3 over 8 pi. Okay, let's look at what we want to show. So here, this somehow have to be equal to this expression here. This expression here is not difficult to tell that this is EI pi over 8. Alright, so this EI pi over 8 means the numerator we can actually factorize the EI pi out, EI pi over 8 out. Okay, there are a few ways of doing this. You see that this is base of 8, so we can actually change the pi over 2 to base of 8 as well if you want to. So this case here, we'll get EI 4 over 8 pi minus EI negative 3 over 8 pi. Okay, and this case here we'll get EI 4 over 8 pi. You can change everything to base of 8, is fine, no issue. But what we essentially want here is to just factorize this, because this expression is EI pi over 8, right? So we can actually factorize EI pi over 8 out. It's not going to be easy, but we can try. So let me just show you how. This is EI. Okay, you can factorize EI pi over 8 out for the numerator, or you can just multiply top and bottom with EI pi over 8. Okay, I think and then manipulate from there, but I'm just going to factorize EI pi over 8 out. So this is pi over 8 times EI 3 over 8 pi for this case here, this over here. And then for the second one, we have EI pi over 8. If this is EI pi over 8, this will be E minus I 4 over 8 pi. Alright, because pi over 8 minus 4 over 8 will be negative 8 over negative 3 over 8. So I'm just trying my best to factorize these two terms out. These two terms. Alright. Then whatever being factorized should be able to cancel the one below. So I'm going to leave it there. Let's see. This case here. Once done, factorize the EI pi over 8. EI pi over 8. And what is left is EI 3 over 8 pi. Minus E minus I. Pi 4. Pi 4 over 8 pi. Okay. There you go. So how do we do here? Okay, we somehow need to show that this is equal to this, because it has to, right? How do we show that? We have already got this, which is this. So meaning this I here, we need to make sure that is this. Okay, so how do we show that? So one way is you could just put negative I as an exponential form. Negative I is EI pi. Alright, this is EI pi. So I can just replace this EI pi. So I can just put this as my plus EI pi. Then I can just use normal indices to add them up. When you add these both up, you will get this positive. Okay, so this case here, you get EI pi over 8, E 3 over 8 pi, plus pi plus half, this will be EI 4 over 8 pi. It will be the same. Okay, then there you go. Then here we will get, then we could cancel these two out. Okay, then we will leave this as EI pi over 8 is cosine pi over 8 plus I sine pi over 8. Okay, this is how I will do it. Of course, this is not the only way to do it. The other way is you could also multiply top and bottom with EI pi over 8 here. then you slowly manipulate it. But this is how I would think of doing it. All right. So if you have any question or comments at all, please let us know. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next question.